simultaneously sucking. Then we talked to Dr. Jane Morton, a hand expression specialist and pediatrician at Stanford. Through her research, she discovered that women who only pump can get about 500 milliliters of milk per session. However, women who use their hands to massage the breast simultaneously with pumping can get almost twice the amount. That's why our goal is to create a breast pump that mimics natural breastfeeding techniques so that the mother isn't completely exhausted by the time she's done pumping. In November, we designed our first prototype. And by December, we switched over to more advanced materials. In January, we were finally able to find ourselves a couple of engineers who weren't too squeamish about the topic. And together, we are working on a provisional patent for the massaging component. And this is what it's going to look like. An attachable massager will use an air bladder system to rhythmically massage the breast. This massager will easily attach to a breast pump and harness the energy generated for suction to inflate and deflate the bladders. The breast pump itself will run on rechargeable batteries, it'll be easy to take apart and clean, and it'll be environmentally friendly. We also intend on creating an app that wirelessly connects to the pump. Now that the mother has her hands free, she can easily record and listen to sounds of her baby, look at pictures of her baby, and even connect to other moms for support through forums. There will be options to control the intensity and speed of suction, as well as various massaging functions. With a simple touch of her finger, a mom will be able to massage either one or both of her breasts. She will also be able to control the pressure, speed, and temperature of the massager, as heat increases milk flow by mimicking the natural warmth of a baby. A pump massager app system like this has never before been created.
And we're not the only ones working to improve breastfeeding rates. The Surgeon General recently released a call to action in support of breastfeeding. And through policy changes and programs like the Affordable Care Act, employers are now required to provide working women with adequate time and space to pump. Additionally, programs like WIC now prioritize breastfeeding and provide low-income women with breast pumps. But the problem is, programs like the ACA and WIC are stuck with the same old clunky pumps. Our business model is to not only sell our pump to the traditional working mom, but to also replace the pump that the ACA and WIC provide to low-income women. This sustainable business model will allow us to reach a broad number of moms. So the time to act is now. The climate in the United States is ready to support our breast pump. We currently have a design, and we're working on filing a provisional patent. In order to begin 3D printing our prototype, we're going to need financial support. Once we test our device, we're going to begin working on our app. Eventually, we will market and sell this device. Our breast pump will lead to an increase in breastfeeding rates among low-income and working women. And there's a rising number of demand for breast pumps due to an increase in working women and their growing disposable incomes. In 2011 alone, the global breast pump market was worth $625 million. And by 2018, that's projected to increase to over $1 billion. North America is currently the largest sector of the market, while Asia is the fastest growing market. So here we are. The US breast pump market is fragmented, with large companies like Medela, Philips Avent, and Amida dominating the market. But there are many smaller and successful companies, which is where we will enter the market. So in front of you today, we have a multidisciplinary team of people that are passionate about this topic, and all of us have been valuable contributors to the design, but we look forward to your support in furthering our product. So in summary, as Elisha described, it's nearly impossible to simultaneously massage the breast while pumping. This is why our innovative pump mimics natural breastfeeding through combining both suction and massage. Our pump will enter a growing market and will also support current breastfeeding initiatives. So finally, we just want to thank the following people for their support throughout our time together. And we also want to thank you for spending the last 7 minutes listening to us talk about boobs. And we'd be more than happy to take your questions at this time.
Well done.
I'm just curious. I thought that was great. Oh,
Thank you.
Breastfed 3 girls. And something there.
Yeah.
I'm curious about your business model. Are you consumer, or are you thinking you want to go through one of these other companies and have them distribute it for you? Could you talk a little bit more about that and what price you're thinking of?
Yeah, so right now our plan is to kind of do both of what you're saying. So not only market our pump, to traditional moms through places they would normally purchase breast pumps. So thinking of, you go to Target, you find the breast pump that you want, but also through programs like the ACA and WIC, which do provide women free or reduced price breast pumps. So these programs currently buy pumps in bulk and then provide them to women at free or reduced price. So we envision our pump coming in the competitive market right around $300, which is about the price of the pump that these programs currently offer to women. So they're not offering cheap, cruddy pumps. They're offering good pumps that working women that have a larger income would also purchase.
Thank you.
So, you guys, when do you expect to have a working prototype?
It's a tricky question.
Indeed.
We have a lot of ideas as to what we want to do with the bladder system. Obviously, it's going to be not an easy challenge. I think, probably around 6 months, we could get something going, especially if we had funding.
Helps. So, $300 price point, ultimately at scale, what's it going to cost of goods?
We haven't, quoted this out yet, so we don't know the exact numbers. But based on the design, we're really using a lot of components that are already found in every breast pump today, with the addition of, the massager that's coupled with a compressor that's already in the breast pump. So we don't envision coming in much higher than the current cost.
And what are the current costs? What's the margin on these devices?
I don't know yet. I don't know. Anna, do you know?
So there's a fantastic report out there that costs money to access and contains a lot of this information. So part of the money, if we do end up winning this competition, part of the money will go to reading in detail this report and kind of understanding where we fit in and, the share of the market, what the biggest players are in terms of money. Yeah. Yes.
As you worked through the project and did your research, were there any things you found that were significant enough that caused you to change the direction you moved?
Yes. Jeff was very useful. He said, go through the Google patent search. And so we did, and we found this beautiful patent from 2002 that basically was an air bladder-like massager. Called up the CEO of the company. She said, oh yeah, that never worked. We're like, oh, that's interesting. Apparently the people who created the design didn't include suction. So they just thought that they could have this thing massage the breast and that would work. We know that's not the case. We need to have a combination of both things. So that was it was a difficult 2 hours of our lives. We're like, what's going on? But after we spoke with the CEO, she cleared things up.
So I thought it was an excellent presentation. You mentioned in your discussion about policy, you talked about the WIC program and ACA. Another group that would be probably useful to both consult with in terms of guidance as well as potentially the folks who would be interested in the solution would be the Title V programs, maternal and child health programs that are under HRSA that are essentially administered through every state. So I'd suggest that regardless of how this goes, certainly that would be an interesting area for you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's a great suggestion.
Whose idea was it to file a patent?
It was all of us. We spoke with the law clinic here on campus, and we're currently on the waiting list to speak with the patent lawyer students.
I've been through this whole process before. I have 3 medical device startups and one of my own as well. So I've been through the process, so I helped guide them.
That's important. That's important.
It's actually, my own startup, it's Flipsy, so it's reusable bottles that you can flip inside out for easy cleaning. So we actually have a baby bottle. So this is sort of like vertical integration.
You may want to get a license from that other company that has that massage capability already, because if you're going to be infringing on their patent, you'd be better off
Yeah.
getting a license from them, combining it with yours. So just
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
make sure you look at that.
Great job, guys.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Turn that off.
Yeah.
Batteries are just up. I mean, it's okay. Thank you.
How you were in whatever school district you were talking about. It was so funny.
I just don't understand what the issue was. It's like, I live there, what do you want?
Oh, you know what? Vic, do you still have that list?
Literally, it's that street. So if you're on the north side of the street, you're in the school district. If you're on the south side, you're in this side. And we're on that south side, so that's the. That's interesting. Yeah, no, they made a very clear distinction, delineation. It's very interesting because the group on this side of the border, it's a group of snow versus that side. The houses on different school districts. Just on the basis of the younger ones.
Can you remind me next time when the judges do their questions?
Yeah, that's one of the top.
Okay. You want to remind everybody to turn those on.
Yeah.
I got an audio question for you too, if you don't mind. Is there any way, they're never gonna have more than one person talking at a time. How would you feel about just using one handheld that they pass instead of dealing with these? It's very awkward.
We could do it that way.
And they're not having time to clip them on anyway. It's just,
Sure.
could that work?
Yeah.
One
they-
channel.
They just need to remember that they need to have it pretty close to their mouth.
I've coached them all on that.
All right, good,
It's just,
okay.
I wanted to simplify by not
The
having.
only other, well, actually, the other thing is that we can turn these on and the judges can pass these around.
I couldn't
Actually,
get
what I
this to
didn't
work.
do the last
No,
time.
that's not.
Yeah, actually,
Okay, I'll do that.
Test, test.
Have it plugged in.
that's ready.
So, I'm sorry, I didn't catch your. Yeah, it's plugged in. I don't know.
Did Rebecca not test that? I just bought this thing.
Could we use that? Well.
Okay, so the other thing may be in the slideshow presentation. That one's not working. It doesn't have its thing. That was missing its thing. So you guys, what do I? And then I want you to introduce yourselves. Okay. And then you'll start your pitch.
Okay.
That way you'll have time to introduce yourselves and not have to have that be part of your 7 minutes.
Okay.
We're doing a handheld mic.
Mic.
You can pass it around. We're having trouble getting the advancer to work. I don't know what's going on. And I don't have time to fix it.
The clicker?
Yeah.
Okay, so can we just have somebody stand there and
Yes.
do it? Okay, that's fine.
So
We already
just
planned it that
remember,
way.
when you're talking with the mic, you need to hold it
Okay.
closer.
Here, the way to do it is this. You see this little button that says mode? You see this little button that says mode? When you click this to green,
And everybody goes,
I'm sorry, when it's, yeah. This should, yeah, that's live now. And then
okay, sounds good.
when you hold it, maybe it just stays on all the time. We'll just leave it on. But if your stomach rumbles, so just set it down and then pass it between you for when you do questions.
Let's do this up.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Yeah.
Oh, now it's off.
Hello.
We're not captured.
You got it.
Your insightful question was not captured.
Okay, these are live. If you can just bring these down, Patrick. These are super hot.
Super hot. That sounds like a show.
Super hot. Well, the judges themselves are super hot too. Yeah, that looks good.
Finally.
About 8 inches away. 8 inches away.
So, be careful what you say.
Oh my God, really?
He always compliments me every time I see him.
All right, are we ready for our next team? Okay, this is my waiting room, and I'm going to have them introduce themselves, and then they'll jump right into their pitch.
Good morning, my name is Zubana.
Hi, I'm Sarah.
Hi, I'm Nikki. I'm Molly.
I'm Nathan.
I'm Juliana.
We're here to tell you about our product, My Waiting Room. My Waiting Room is a surgery tracking mobile application. Have you ever waited for someone in a hospital waiting room? Think about how that made you feel. Were you anxious, overwhelmed, Scared? Were you watching the seconds just crawl by? Well, My Waiting Room can transform that experience. We really came together as a team and thought about how we could ease this experience for the Patient Support Network. The Patient Support Network includes family and friends who are there for the patient throughout the care process. I actually used to work at the UCLA Surgery Waiting Room, and I noticed two things. The first was overwhelmed staff, and the second was a gap in resources for the support network. What we want to do is take existing technology, which are the in-house surgery trackers, and put it on a mobile application. We also have our entertainment and attraction feature to ease the waiting time for the family and friends. Additionally, we have the follow-up feature, which includes the discharge summary. This makes sure that we are actually providing support for the caregiver and for the patient, even once they exit our waiting room. We hope that this will reduce readmissions and increase reimbursements to hospitals. We will go into further detail throughout our presentation. Sarah will now speak about the individual features of our app.
Thanks, Ivana. So we've designed this app to be super intuitive and therefore very easy to use. All the features that we had previously listed in the former slide have been grouped together under 4 main categories: track surgery, follow-up, entertainment, and attractions. In addition, the capstone features of our app are on an easy-to-access navigation pane, which is listed on the bottom of each page of our app. So starting with the surgery tracker, here we can actually see where the patient is in the process. So our patient has gone through pre-op, has had their surgery in the operating room, and now is recovering in the post-anesthesia care unit. In addition, there's 4 main options. Invite to wait. So for all the family members who are not physically present on site, they're now able to remotely monitor the surgery process of the patient. Here, they're also able to communicate with one another through a group chat feature in which all members of the support care network can be in constant communication with one another. Send gifts. So we partner with the hospital's gift shop to allow members of the patient care support network to send gifts and flowers to members who are on site and waiting. Messages. Any clinical messages that are communicated from the clinical staff to the family can be done so through our app. It's secure and it's a streamlined process. And finally, the Call Now serves as a one-touch connect button to connect you to a hospital administrator in the event that you have any questions that you need to ask. So under the entertainment package, we have the Family Care Network will be able to watch movies, listen to music, and read magazines. So this right here is a screenshot of the magazine section. Here you'll be able to pull up any magazine that you want. It's usually the latest issue, and you will be able to read it accordingly. So the discharge plan. So when you're a loved one and you're presented with so much information on how to take care of your patient after the surgery, it can be very complicated, it can be very overwhelming, and it can be very confusing. So we present to you a streamlined discharge summary. Here, it outlines exactly what you need to know. It lays out the prescription plan, and in addition, we provide educational tools and care videos. So say, for example, my son had surgery, and the nurse was explaining to me how exactly I should change the dressings after surgery. Let's say I was super stressed and I didn't know exactly, I couldn't follow what she was saying. What I could do is I could just pull up the video, push play, and then go learn step by step on exactly how to change the dressings and wounds. So now I'm going to hand it over to Nikki, who will talk about the consumer and market size.
Thank you, Saurabh. So now that we've spoken a little bit about the user, I'm going to talk a little bit about the consumer and the size of this market. So My Waiting Room is ideal to hospitals that are interested in investing in patient satisfaction. Currently, there are over 5,000 hospitals that are performing close to 30.1 million surgical procedures per year nationwide. My Waiting Room appeals to these stakeholders because it targets the caregiver and the patient experience while improving postoperative outcomes and increasing reimbursement for hospitals that invest in our subscription-based model. So let's look at what sort of return on investment there is for hospitals that are interested in investing in this application. Currently, hospitals are penalized for high readmission rates. The average cost of a readmission is close to $11,000 for any given cause. We anticipate that through our discharge plan, which includes care videos and discharge summaries, we will be able to reduce readmission rates and reduce the rate of postoperative complications. In addition to that, HCAHPS surveys, which measure patient satisfaction, will be increased, the rate at which these are completed will be increased, and these HCAHPS scores will be increased through our surveys that we will integrate within the application. Currently, there's a 33% response rate for HCAHPS surveys nationwide, and we believe that we can increase this completion rate by integrating it on a technological platform. Furthermore, there's a long-term capability for this application to be integrated with pre-existing electronic health records and other health IT systems that are present in the hospital. We believe that through this, we can leverage technology to allow for more integration throughout the hospital and all the IT systems that they have. Finally, the patient care experience is not only for the patients, but also the providers and the family members and loved ones that are involved. We believe that My Waiting Room integrates these three stakeholders by enhancing communication, both between patients and the providers, and between providers and the family members that are involved. We allow for health education tools, allow for a higher rate of health transparency, and for more communication between the patients, the providers, and the patient support network. Finally, we're enhancing postoperative outcomes for the hospitals and decreasing readmissions and decreasing the rate of postoperative complications because we're offering the right information at the right time and at the right place. So in conclusion, My Waiting Room leverages this sort of technology in order to enhance the patient care experience for the patients, the providers, and the patient support network. So thank you for being with us here today, and we'll take any questions at this time.
Sorry, we don't have to introduce ourselves too. So maybe I'll start on this side this time. So very interesting, and when I read the materials about it earlier, the first thing that came to my mind is thinking not just about this area, which is certainly an important area and useful, but also thinking about individual patients in the emergency room, right? We know that across the country, many people are waiting a long time in emergency rooms to get seen. And is there an opportunity to perhaps think about this even for folks in emergency room and other types of settings where there's a significant amount of wait time within the healthcare system, and so there's a great generalizability of this to those other settings. Just thoughts on that.
I can take that. Yes, we do see this as an unlimited tool that can be integrated into hospitals as they're ready to receive them. We think this is a perfect introduction into it because this is where people were seeking technology and seeking mobile devices. When you're in a waiting room, especially when you have high stress, you're waiting for someone that you love, often it's a child, often it's an elderly parent, you're looking for something to turn to. And so we think once this is introduced into the hospital setting, it will rapidize, it'll be able to quickly go into other departments.
So I suspect that a lot of hospitals are already doing, taking first steps toward this type of thing to improving the experience of people in the waiting room. Can you talk a little bit about what research you have done to see what's working, and perhaps if some hospitals have been able to quantify a bit what those efforts have yielded?
So we've done some research on some of the apps that are out there and how waiting rooms communicate with caregivers. And an idea we got from this was from Kaiser. So in their waiting room, they have a screen and it'll say what stage the patient is, so whether they're in pre-op, post-op, or waiting. But you can't leave the waiting room, so it's just on a screen with everyone else's information. So we didn't find information on an app that lets you leave the hospital or go other places. So the two apps that we did find are both patent pending, so there was not a lot of information online, but they're both communication tools for the provider to the family. So the first one, Patient Updater, allows the provider to text family through text. And the second one, Surgical Companion, allows the surgeon to communicate with family members before and after the surgery, but they don't include a discharge plan or the entertainment features that we would like to put in My Waiting Room.
Any information on the value of these efforts?
So we weren't able to find any information quantifying savings from these apps.
And in all honesty, we had quite a bit of skepticism about the retention of these because they do put extra burden on clinical staff. To expect a surgeon or a nurse to take the time to go to the side and text and constantly update a family is imposing, or we actually tried to relieve that by taking already existing technology and just transferring it onto the mobile app. So it's not necessarily putting any additional burden on that we don't think is sustainable, understanding the pressures that are in the waiting room in the surgical process.
Good. Those are great answers.
Thank you.
Good. Those are great answers. So what is the price point that you're thinking about on this, and how are you going to market it?
So the way we were thinking of selling it is we were thinking a monthly subscription to hospitals. So we're still deciding how we would do that. So none of us are coders or very technology educated. So we wanted to sell it on a monthly basis. So whether that be a one fee per hospital based on the size or based on a download rate per patient. But we're still doing research on that.
And I'd actually like to introduce the idea of a pilot program that we have in mind in order to test our product in an existing health system. So first we would partner with a health system, ideally a large health system that already has a way to track surgical processes, and we'd work with the health system to get an idea of their current workflow and the subscriptions and local businesses that they would like to partner with, because we would really want to cater to their needs. And we would work to integrate their electronic health record systems and their patient satisfaction surveys into our application. We would roll out the implementation plan, and then as we're going, in the end, we would track the increased patient satisfaction scores and the decreased readmission. So that would give us sort of measurable results to move forward.
That's a great answer. So on your point, as succinctly as you can, what do you think are the strengths of your team, and where are the holes? Where are your weaknesses?
I think that the strengths in our team is, one, we have a very unified vision. We all see exactly where the problem is and what we can bring to the table. I think our whole would be, we would like to work with a team of developers to actually create the application. So people that are more, maybe have experience in technology and working with us to actually create the application. But I think in terms of our vision and our goals, we have a very strong team.
So what makes it strong? I mean, we don't know anybody's background, so it's hard. Raise your hand if you're just if you're in the School of Public Health. Oh, everybody. Okay, raise your hand. Oh, except you. What are you?
So I'm a first-year business student. Okay. My background is aerospace engineering. So
okay.
I have a little bit more maybe the technical aspect that I can contribute and the business side as well.
Okay, great.
And I'm an undergrad. I'm a senior in LS&A.
Studying?
I'm studying global health, and I'm also studying statistics, so I have a little bit of both.
Okay. So I guess I can go through a little bit. Nikki has background in research. Saurabh has a background in consulting and operations in a hospital. Nikki has a background actually working in surgical waiting rooms on the administrative side. Subhana. Tom has experience working on the payer side, and I worked in patient advocacy beforehand. So I think we do have a pretty well-rounded perspective coming into this team and really being able to champion a different voice.
Okay, yeah, that's really helpful, thanks. Yeah, I think it's a pretty interesting idea, actually, that you've come up with, and I think the idea that it's an app is a really cool idea as opposed to what you described. I think of like when we're all waiting for flights, right? You see if you're on the standby list or on the upgrade list or whatever, which is what it sounds like Kaiser's done, but I think this and being able to communicate with all the families, I think the one real link or sort of key point for you to really try and focus on is this idea of the surveys. I mean, hospitals are really graded on how well the patient surveys, and how well they're doing, and that, it's a huge issue along with the readmission. So if you can somehow really link that into this so that you're providing substantial information back to the hospitals, I think that will be the real sort of locking point, if you will, to getting a hospital to sign on with you.
So we've kind of taken 2 points in terms of surveys. One would just be initial surveys while they're actually using the app. So in order to unlock certain features, we would ask them to answer simple questions. How are you welcomed into the hospital? How do you feel comfortable sitting here? What do you think of the cafeteria? Little things like that, just to quickly be able to go through the application. And that's rapid time feedback that they can be able to collect. And then this would link you to HCAP surveys 48 hours post-surgery, which is when it becomes available, or I'm sorry, post-discharge when it becomes available. And we think by already having communication with them, and since we have these patient care videos, it's something that they feel comfortable using. How it exists now, you get a phone call randomly maybe 3 weeks later, or you get something in the mail, they don't give you a stamp. It's really inconveniencing them. Because it's something they already have a connection with and they're comfortable using, we think this will facilitate adaption and completion of the surveys.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. And the hospitals are graded on that. I mean, that is just incredibly important information.
The revenue that they can get. I mean, this is one example of Beaumont Hospital who got a $3 million cut in reimbursements just because they weren't able to complete their surveys up to standard.
Right. Yeah. And in addition to that, there's so last year there was about 960 million. Are we done?
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Good job. Great idea.
Right? Here? Okay. So what
Okay.
I'm going to do is I'm going to introduce, I'm going to say the name of your team. You're going to introduce yourself as individuals. Would it help you guys for them just to give, like,
Yeah.
just ask them that question about, like, what their background is? Would that be helpful just at the very beginning? Let's do that without any time. Yeah, okay.
Did you catch that? That doesn't cut into their time. Just leave them on.
So we can just say our background.
So we're learning as we go. So introduce yourselves and give like a few sentence or two just about your background. Like I have, background in public policy and that's all you need to do. But that gives them some more context, which is like we like to have it. You guys did it in your presentation before. Okay. So I'd like to introduce the
Where's
Healthy
the
Baskets
clicker?
team, and they're going to tell you about what their names are and a little bit about themselves.
Hello. Oh, I don't know if I need to speak into the mic. My name is Adriana, and I'm a first-year MPH student here at the School of Public Health. My interests are in prevention of chronic diseases, and I'm studying health behavior and health education.
Oh, I'm Elisha. Hello again. I am a master's in public health student, second year, about to get out of here, so if you're hiring.
Hi, I'm Wendy. I have a PhD in chemical biology, and I'm interested in entrepreneurship, which is why I'm doing this.
Hi, my name's Maria. I'm a first-year HBHE student as well here at the School of Public Health, and my interests are in racial and ethnic disparities. So just click through. Okay. Okay, so we're going to get started to talk about Healthy Baskets. So in 2012, the University of Michigan Human Nutrition Program surveyed over 700 undergraduate, graduate, and PhD professional students enrolled at the University of Michigan. And they were hoping to assess food insecurity. And they were looking at food insecurity in two different ways. The first was whether there was adequate nutrition, so if students were eating enough food. And the second was proper nutrition, so if they were eating enough of the right kinds of foods. And what they found was a little alarming. So about 49% of undergraduate students were found to be considered food insecure, about 32% of master's students, and even 21% of PhD professional students qualified. Our group here also conducted a survey of students enrolled at the University of Michigan last semester, and we were looking to see what the barriers were that people had in accessing the fresh produce. And what we found was that cost was the #1 issue, and it was something that we considered to already be an issue. But what we found was there were 2 other issues that were very close in price. The first was distance, so how far it was the nearest grocery store. And the second was time, how long it took either through walking, public transportation, or driving to access those fresh produce.
So how do we fix this problem? The solution we propose is Healthy Baskets, which is a business that would bring fresh fruits and produce baskets to the UM community at different locations on campus. And for those of you that may not be familiar with our campus, we are spread out over Ann Arbor a little bit, so there are students in all different parts of the campus. We really want to address these issues of access and time by having it conveniently located right in the middle, of our quad. So even for staff and faculty during their lunch break, maybe they can come out and buy a Healthy Basket, pick it up, take it home with them at the end of the day, get a snack in the middle of the day, because like we found, our survey indicated that access, convenience, and time was a big issue. Now for the students, this is an even bigger issue. They're involved in classes and extracurriculars and all of these sorts of things, and they, a lot of them are in the shock of, they just got out of freshman year and they were eating all of their foods at the dormitory and they don't know how to cook. They're starting to, cook with new fruits and vegetables, so getting fresh produce is going to be difficult for them. They're not doing it, and that's what we found. So by being on campus, we really address these issues. So the really neat thing about Healthy Baskets is that for every basket that is purchased, we give a basket to an individual that is also part of the UM community, but that is in need. And that way we are addressing the cost issue. These people would absolutely not be able to afford healthier foods, but we give the option for students and staff to help other students on campus. So how does it work? You could either purchase the basket online or at one of our distribution sites. And like I mentioned, we would start off with approximately 3, one on the medical campus, one on North Campus, and one on Central Campus. Or you could, like I said, do it through online. You're buying your basket for yourself, and we'd be giving one to somebody else in need. Step 2 is you pick up your basket at the same distribution site that you bought it, or another one if it's more convenient for you that day, or you can also choose to have it delivered to your home for an additional fee. So again, we are eliminating these barriers, the cost, time, and access. The cost particularly for those who are getting the free basket, and time and access for everybody else in the UM community. And it's a simple solution, and we think that as part of the UM community ourselves, we can have a large social impact.
So here's the plan. Who are our customers? There are over 50,000 people in the U of M community, and they are composed of students, faculty, and staff. With this advantage, we will be able to have the potential to make a large social impact. And the way that we're going to do that is by raising awareness about the food justice issues. We're also going to give the basket to the needy person or the person in need, and we'll also be able to impact or influence the young adults' eating habits, because they're at a time in their lives when they're establishing their eating habits and being independent. So we want to be able to provide a service for them so that they have adequate access to healthier options. We're going to do all that with our designated roles. We all have our own expertise and experiences that we bring to the team. And so Medea and I will be in charge of the day-to-day operations, and that will include customer care. So we'll be in charge of selecting the participants who receive the free baskets. Wendy will be in charge of negotiating and purchasing the produce, as well as networking and trying to get the distribution site and getting a great deal on transportation. And Adriana, with her savvy skills, she'll be in charge of marketing. She'll use Facebook, Twitter, word of mouth, posters, flyers, and she'll also use community engagement. So through our website, our customers will be able to go online and discuss issues of food injustice and whatever they're experiencing. And maybe they'll even be able to mobilize around the issues. So we're kind of hoping that they can become really invested in the issue and engaged, and therefore invest in our company and continue to buy our produce.
We have 3 revenue streams. The first are the baskets of produce from our paying customers. Second, delivery service. We'll charge extra for those paying customers who want home delivery as opposed to coming to our pickup locations. And third, advertising. We will sell advertising space on our website and monthly newsletter. Advertisers could be organizations like A2 Yoga or M Healthy and health-conscious restaurants that, like us, promote healthy living. These advertisers will complement our healthy basket service. The revenue streams will cover the costs of the produce, including the free basket, as well as transportation, storage, and marketing. We have also considered a number of possible regional partnerships. We want to highlight the Michigan Urban Farming Initiative because we have talked to them multiple times and we know that they have been producing a surplus of food lately, so we could help them distribute this extra food. So to wrap up, we want to leave you with the concept of buy one, give one. We have talked about it before, but this is a key concept in our business. And other businesses have used it before successfully. We believe that this buy one, give one model could work here in Michigan too. We are part of the UM community and we would be helping others in the community. So this is something we feel strongly about. So with that, we want to thank you very much for your attention and we'll be happy to take any questions you have.
Good job.
Thank you.
So I want to talk about the price point, and I want to talk about the buy one, give one philosophy. So first, what's the price point on this?
So we were thinking of having different options, and we were looking at anywhere between the ranges of 15 to 20, depending on the final size that we go with. And like I said, in the future, we'd like to have a small basket, a bigger basket, because that was something that through our survey we identified people would want. So obviously those would have different prices. Does anyone want to elaborate? I know for the delivery, we would also charge an extra, and we were thinking around anywhere between $5 to $10, depending on distance.
So what part of that price, what percent of that price is a component of the give one away, the giving part?
Right. We haven't worked out the nitty-gritty details yet because we're still trying to learn a lot about just buying wholesale and who our different distributors would be. Would we be getting some of this produce for free? So we're not exactly sure of what the percentage would be, and that is one skill that we are looking to incorporate into our team, someone with more business skills that might know more about the money. But we do believe that with our alternate revenue sources, we'd be able to make up the price for, because it would be a slight premium for having it on campus and being convenient. And I think that if people identified they would be willing to pay slightly higher, especially for the social concept of it.
Say something about that. What work have you done to confirm your hypothesis that people would be willing to pay a premium if there is the additional value of giving a basket away when they purchase one?
Well, through our online survey, we identified that the majority would. I can't remember. Do you remember the percentage?
Yeah, it was about, so in the survey that we accessed, we were looking to see what the barriers were to getting the fresh fruits and produce. We were also looking at what the interest was. We found that about already over 60% of the students we surveyed were very much interested in getting fresh produce, and they were interested with the caveat that it would be both convenient and affordable.
And we have also spoken to different organizations and different contacts, and they've expressed interest in it. So just like personal, that would be the extent to our experience. And then in the survey, we had some staff members answer it too. So that was good.
So I'll just ask a follow-up to that. How are you going to identify who you give the baskets to? Who are the students or the other employees of Michigan that are in need, and how will you identify them?
That's a great question, and that's something that we've been trying to figure out exactly. We thought we could try to work with financial aid office and see what type of questions they assess and have a sort of application process, because even for our paying customers, we're thinking of starting off with a limited amount, like our first go through, to make sure that we can deliver the highest service and we can secure all of the produce that we need. So it would be the same for the people getting the free basket. So it would be a sort of application process, and then we would identify. I'm not exactly sure what type of questions we would ask at this time. Does anyone want to elaborate? Did I answer your question? Yeah.
Just a couple of follow-ups. One is, what's in the basket?
Yeah, great. Well, let me draw attention to the basket here for you. We have.
So that might be something you want to get out right
Yes,
away when you're
yes.
talking, when you're presenting this again. Is
We were just short on time,
because
but
people
that's a
will-
great
no,
point.
But people will look at that and assume, but
What's
that
in
may
there?
or may not be something that's obvious. So.
Right. No, great point. Did you want me to tell you about it or no?
Sure, yeah.
Okay. So we have tomatoes, broccoli, mini eggplants, kiwis, carrots, bananas, avocado, apples, oranges. So we're really trying to get, eat the rainbow, especially because it has all of the different nutrients. We really want our students to be healthy and great students and productive, as well as our staff and faculty. But the most interesting thing is to get this variety of food. Students really have to go off campus to do that. Like there are a few options they can walk to, but the produce options are limited. So at least a 15 to 20 minute bus ride we're looking at, or a 30-minute walk to and then from. So that's about an hour commute. And without a vehicle, then they're really, they might go because they need it, but they might buy a few things. I brought this home. I drove here today, and I brought this home, and just taking it down, it was so heavy. Like they're not going to want to deal with that on, a regular basis. But
Sorry, just to follow up to it, can you pick and choose what you want, or all the baskets are exactly the same?
Starting off, we're thinking all the baskets might be the same, just because we think that might be easier logistically, and it also depends on what if we can work out different partnerships with different people, like who was mentioning she was mentioning MUFI, which is the Michigan Urban Farming Initiative, and that's in Detroit. So obviously they have a selected amount of what they can produce. So it would really depend. So I think they'd be the same to start with, but that's one thing that we thought about in our website. In the future we could incorporate, maybe not exactly they pick and choose, but they could let us know, I'm allergic to tomatoes, so then we could replace it with something of equal value.
When you think of the effectiveness of the buy one, get one concept, did you give much thought to sort of what you're giving is, in a way, it's a low margin, high expense, perishable gift that makes the logistics and all this very difficult? Did you think about that much?
We did, and 3 of us have a health behavior and health education background, so ideally in the future we would like to either ourselves create a program or partner with somebody creating a program that would teach the people receiving the basket how to actually use it. And I think they might not, giving, and we are going to include recipes for our paying customers and the people getting the free basket. But that is something we thought about. Identify, are you going to actually use this food? Why wouldn't you use this food? Have you never tried eggplant before? Maybe having community cooking lessons. So we've thought about these things. We don't have an exact answer.
We've also explored providing canned or jarred food in the future. So that might be something that we could do.
It's tough enough to get something off the ground, but when you have the added pressure that your product is disintegrating while you're working on it, it's tough.
And that might be something that we can also identify interest and knowledge through our application form when we're assessing need, and we might be able to see, these people really want this and they just can't afford it, as opposed to, oh, hey, free food, that'd be great. So. Go ahead.
And one additional question. What if you're actually wildly successful? In other words, what if you had so many people coming, but they're the same people? How do you know that you're getting wide distribution? Are you going to, how will you identify those who will be accessing your baskets and making sure that you're not getting sort of the same group every single time, but you're actually expanding it, especially since one of the social goals of this is to distribute widely across the campus?
Right. So our overarching goal. What's that?
Be brief with this answer.
Okay. So our overarching goal is, a bigger, healthier UM community. But I don't think that it's that bad of a thing if we keep getting the same people coming back, because we also want to establish habit and longevity of eating healthier foods. So if they keep coming back and it's the same people, we'd consider that a success. Thank you.